My sister took my wedding dress from my closet when I wasn't looking for her daughter's prom. When I found out, she blamed her daughter. She said I was selfish for not sharing. 2 months later she had a meltdown at my house in front of my fiancé. For context, I was supposed to be getting married next month to my fiancé Mark, 31M, but we had to postpone because his father was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer 3 months ago. The doctors gave him a timeline of about 6 to 8 months. Mark and I decided to postpone our wedding until his father is either well enough to attend, or if things take a turn for the worst, to spend as much quality time with him as possible. It wasn't even a question for us, family comes first. I work in event planning, and over the years I've collected quite a few formal gowns for different occasions. I keep them all in my closet, each in garment bags to protect them. My wedding dress is in a special white garment bag that has Bridal Dreams written on it in gold lettering. It's pretty obvious it's a wedding dress bag. Last week, Carissa called me to ask if she could borrow one of my gowns for her senior prom, which is happening this weekend. Apparently, Jenny had been putting off taking her shopping, and now they were running out of time. I told her of course she could borrow one, and that she should come over on Tuesday evening to look through what I had. On Tuesday, Jenny and Carissa showed up while I was in the middle of an important conference call with a client. The call had already run 20 minutes over schedule, and I couldn't end it. I motioned for them to go upstairs to my bedroom and look through my closet for a dress that would work. I trusted them completely, they've been to my house countless times, and I've never had any issues with them before. When my call finally ended about 30 minutes later, I went to the kitchen to get some water. That's when I saw that my cat, Murphy, had somehow knocked over a 5-pound bag of flour that was on the counter. There was flour everywhere, on the countertops, all over the floor, and paw prints tracking through the entire kitchen. While I was still processing the mess, Jenny and Carissa came downstairs. Carissa was holding a black garment bag, and they told me they'd found a dress. I was too busy with a flour disaster to walk them out, so I just told them I'd see them at the prom this weekend for photos. They left, and I spent the next hour cleaning up the kitchen. After finishing with the flour mess, I went upstairs to see which dress Carissa had chosen. I walked into my closet and immediately noticed something off about my wedding dress bag. It wasn't zipped all the way. I opened it up, and my stomach dropped, my wedding dress was gone. I frantically searched my closet, thinking maybe they'd moved it, but then I realized what happened. They had taken my wedding dress and put it in a black garment bag to hide the fact that they were taking it. I was beyond furious. I called Jenny immediately, but she didn't pick up. I texted her, but no response. Without thinking twice, I grabbed my keys and drove to their house, which is about 20 minutes away. When I got there, I knocked on the door. Jenny answered, looking surprised to see me. I asked to see the dress Carissa had taken. Jenny hesitated but called Carissa downstairs. When I saw Carissa wearing my wedding dress, I nearly lost my mind. I told them that was my wedding dress, and they had no right to take it. At first, they tried to act like they didn't know it was my wedding dress, but that was complete nonsense because Jenny had been with me when I bought it and during the fittings. When they realized I wasn't buying their lie, they changed their story. Jenny said it was the only dress Carissa liked, and they didn't think it was a big deal since the wedding was postponed anyway. Jenny also claimed it didn't really look like a wedding dress. It does, it's a champagne-colored gown with a lace bodice and layers of tulle, and that they would have returned it right after prom. I was so angry I couldn't even speak. I just held out my hand and waited for Carissa to give me back my dress. Carissa started crying and screaming that I was ruining her prom. She said she had already told her date about her dress colors and had called the florist for a matching corsage. I found this strange because they had only taken the dress about 40 minutes before I showed up at their house. How did she have time to do all that? It made me think this whole thing was planned before they even came to my house. I took my dress and left without saying another word. When I got home, Jenny started blowing up my phone with texts about how difficult I was being and how Carissa was so upset she didn't even want to go to prom anymore. Part of me wondered if I should have explicitly told them not to take the wedding dress, but come on, it was in a bridal bag with Bridal Dreams written on it. It should have been obvious that it was off limits. I've been trying to gather my thoughts to talk to Jenny, but I'm still too angry. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that I was planning to be at Carissa's pre-prom photo session this weekend. Now I realize that if I hadn't discovered the dress was missing until then, I would have been put in an awkward position of either causing a scene at pre-prom or letting them get away with it. I sent both of them a text saying I don't appreciate what they did, and neither of them is welcome at my house or to borrow anything from me until they apologize sincerely. Then I called Mark and told him what happened. He was furious too, especially since he would have seen the dress before our wedding if they had gone through with their plan. Mark and I made a joint decision that Jenny is no longer invited to our wedding. She has a history of inappropriate behavior at family events, like the time she wore a white lace dress to my brother's wedding, causing confusion among guests. We don't need that kind of drama on our day. That evening, I received a text from Carissa asking if we could talk alone, without her mother, the next day. We arranged to meet for coffee at my house in the afternoon. I was cautiously hopeful that she wanted to make amends, but I was also prepared to stand my ground if this was just another attempt to get me to lend her a dress. Some background about Jenny: she's always been what I would call entitled. She got pregnant with Carissa after a one-night stand when she was 24, and the father wasn't in the picture. She raised Carissa as a single mom, going through a series of boyfriends who never stuck around long-term. Jenny has told me before that she feels Carissa robbed her of her youth, which is a terrible thing to say about your child. Jenny seems to think the world owes her something because she's had a difficult life. I do respect the challenge of raising a child alone, it's not easy. But over the years, she's become increasingly resentful towards anyone who appears to have an easier life than her, including me. As for Carissa, I've always tried to be there for her. We spend time together, and I try to be someone she can talk to. She's usually quiet and polite around me, which is why her outburst about the dress shocked me so much. I decided not to reach out to her first because I felt she needed to learn that actions have consequences, and I wasn't going to coddle her. But I was willing to listen when she reached out to me. Was I wrong to take back my wedding dress? Should I have handled this differently? Update 1. It's been 3 days since the dress incident. Carissa came over to my house as planned, and what I learned changed how I view the situation. Carissa arrived around 1 p.m., dropped off by a friend. She looked terrible, her eyes were puffy and red from crying. At first, I was wary, thinking this might be an act to get me to loan her another dress. As a precaution, I had locked my bedroom door and the closet where my wedding dress was now safely stored. Before we even sat down, Carissa started apologizing. She admitted she was wrong for throwing a tantrum and said she shouldn't have reacted that way. I still had my suspicions that this might be a ploy to borrow another dress, but I invited her to sit at the dining table so we could talk. What Carissa told me next was eye-opening. Apparently, Jenny had been putting off prom dress shopping for weeks. First, she told Carissa there was no point in getting a dress if she didn't have a date. Carissa explained that her date, a boy from school, had waited until the last week to officially ask her, even though they had mutually agreed to go together months ago. Jenny had created this rule that Carissa couldn't get a dress until she had an official date because there was no point in going to prom single. Once the boy officially asked, Jenny then claimed she was too busy to take Carissa dress shopping. That's when Jenny suggested they call me to borrow one of my gowns. Carissa was upset about not being allowed to go shopping for her own dress, even with friends, but she agreed to the plan to avoid a fight with her mother. This already painted a different picture than what I had initially assumed. When they came to my house while I was on that client call, Carissa said she was trying on dresses while Jenny was pulling gowns from my closet. The logistics of my bedroom setup are important here. My gowns are stored in the closet, but the full-length mirror is in the bedroom by the window. Carissa was busy trying on dresses and evaluating them in the mirror while Jenny was digging through my closet. According to Carissa, Jenny came out with my wedding dress and presented it to her. Carissa claimed she didn't immediately recognize it as my wedding dress. Now, this part is believable because my dress isn't a traditional white gown, it's a champagne-colored dress with a lace top and layers of tulle in bronze and gold tones. From a distance, it might not scream wedding dress to someone who's never seen it before. Carissa admitted she had a small doubt in her mind that it might be a wedding dress, but she said she never thought her mother would pull out my wedding dress for her to try on. She also saw the white bridal bag tucked away in the closet and assumed that was where my actual wedding dress was stored, not realizing they had removed it from that bag. They packed the dress in one of the black garment bags that had been discarded in my closet. Then, on the way back to their house, Jenny insisted that Carissa call the florist immediately to order a corsage that would match the dress. Jenny's excuse was that florists are busy during prom season, and they needed to get the order in right away. This confirmed my suspicion that Jenny had planned this whole thing. She manipulated the situation and used her daughter as a pawn. Carissa told me she only realized it was actually my wedding dress when I showed up at their house demanding it back. She was confused and upset, which led to her lashing out at me. She thought I was simply arguing with her mother about taking a dress that looked bridal, not that they had taken my specific wedding dress, since she believed the real one was still in the white bag. After I left with the dress, Carissa and Jenny had a huge argument. Jenny called Carissa dramatic for yelling at me and blamed her for ruining her own prom by making such a scene. Carissa ended up crying in her room for most of the evening. As Carissa told me this story, I could tell she was genuinely remorseful and that she had been kept in the dark about many aspects of the situation. But I also made it clear to her that regardless of her mother's manipulation, she was still wrong for blaming me for ruining her prom, yelling instead of having a rational conversation, not thinking to ask if the dress was special. Especially given her small doubt, I told Carissa I was disappointed in her reaction but that I still cared about her. I made it clear that the main issue was with her mother's behavior, but Carissa still needed to learn from this experience. I also reinforced that I wouldn't be lending her anything for a while, and she wouldn't have access to my closet for at least a few months. Carissa said she completely understood and even commented that if any of her friends had done something similar to her, she wouldn't have even agreed to talk to them as I had done with her. This showed me that she understood the gravity of the situation. Carissa was still visibly upset, partly from frustration. It was clear that Jenny was not going to take her shopping for a prom dress now, and the event was just days away. After thinking about it, I decided to offer her an olive branch. I would take her dress shopping myself. We went to a department store that afternoon, and Carissa found a beautiful midnight blue gown that suited her perfectly. It also matched the flower preferences she had already given to the florist. However, I made it clear this was not a gift. I offered to pay for the dress as a loan, with specific conditions. Carissa would pay back 75% of the cost before my rescheduled wedding. She would pay me 1/4 of her monthly paycheck from her part-time job until it was paid off. She would help with all the flower arrangements for my wedding, as I'm doing them myself. Carissa happily agreed to these terms, and we ended up having a good afternoon shopping and talking. I also told her that while her mother was no longer invited to my wedding, she was still welcome to attend. I explained that having her help with the flower arrangements would not only provide me with extra hands but would also give her some constructive time away from her mother. Carissa mentioned she'll be starting college in the city this summer, which I think will be good for her. The distance from her mother will give her some freedom and room to grow into her own person. As for Jenny, I haven't heard from her directly, but based on what Carissa told me, she's still angry and blaming everyone else for the situation. I'm planning to keep my distance from her for the foreseeable future. Update 2. It's been 3 weeks. A lot has happened, and I wanted to update everyone on the situation. First, Carissa went to her prom in the midnight blue dress we bought, and from the photos I've seen, she looked beautiful. I wasn't at the pre-prom photos as originally planned. Carissa told me Jenny made a big deal about me not being welcome after what happened. That was fine by me, as I didn't particularly want to see Jenny either. Carissa has been coming over to my house twice a week to practice making flower arrangements for the wedding. She's actually quite talented at it, and we've been getting along well. It's given us time to talk more openly about her relationship with her mother. According to Carissa, Jenny has been telling family members a completely different version of what happened. She's claiming that I overreacted about just a dress and that I'm trying to turn Carissa against her. She's also been saying that I'm jealous of their mother-daughter relationship and that's why I'm spending so much time with Carissa. None of this is true, of course. I've been careful not to badmouth Jenny to Carissa, despite how I feel about her. I simply listen when Carissa wants to talk and offer advice when she asks for it. Last week, things took an unexpected turn. Jenny showed up at my house unannounced while Carissa was there working on flower arrangements. She started banging on the door, demanding to speak to Carissa. When I opened the door, I could tell Jenny had been drinking. She pushed past me into the house and started yelling at Carissa for betraying her by spending time with me. I asked Jenny to leave, telling her she wasn't welcome in my home until she apologized for taking my wedding dress. That set her off even more. She started screaming about how I was trying to steal her daughter and how I always had to have everything perfect in my life while she struggled. When I remained calm and again asked her to leave, she knocked over one of the flower arrangements Carissa and I had been working on. At that point, I told her if she didn't leave immediately, I would call the police. Carissa was crying, begging her mother to stop. Eventually, Jenny stormed out, but not before warning Carissa there would be consequences when she got home. I was concerned for Carissa's safety, so I offered to let her stay with me for a few days. She accepted, and we went to her house when we knew Jenny would be at work to pick up some of her things. When we got to their house, we discovered Jenny had cut up the blue prom dress in a fit of rage. Carissa was devastated, not just about the dress, but about the realization of how vindictive her mother could be. She gathered what she needed for school and work, and we went back to my place. Mark came over that evening, and after discussing the situation, we agreed that Carissa could stay with us until she moves into her college dorm in 6 weeks. Mark's father's condition has stabilized somewhat with the new treatment he's on, so we're cautiously optimistic. We've rescheduled our wedding for the fall, hoping he'll be well enough to attend. I called my parents to let them know what was happening with Carissa staying with us. My mom wasn't surprised by Jenny's behavior. Apparently, there's been a pattern of this kind of thing from Jenny for years, but the family has mostly ignored it or made excuses for her because she's a single mom. Jenny has been texting and calling Carissa constantly, alternating between angry messages about her ingratitude and tearful apologies. It's clear to me that Jenny has some serious issues she needs to work through, but she refuses to acknowledge that her behavior is problematic. Despite all this drama, Carissa has been keeping up with school, her part-time job, and her commitment to help with my wedding flowers. She's also been sending me money from her paychecks as agreed for the dress, even though Jenny destroyed it. I told her she doesn't need to pay me back for it anymore, but she insists. She says it's a matter of principle and keeping her word. I'm proud of how Carissa is handling everything, and I hope her mother's behavior doesn't damage her too deeply. For now, we're taking things one day at a time. Update 3. It's been almost 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have progressed. Carissa moved into her college dorm 3 weeks ago, and the transition has been good for her. She's enjoying her classes and has made some new friends. She's still coming over once a week to work on wedding preparations, and our relationship has grown stronger through all of this. Jenny finally reached out to me directly about a month ago. She wanted to meet for coffee to clear the air. I agreed, hoping she was ready to apologize and make amends. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. When we met, Jenny spent the first 20 minutes explaining why she was justified in taking my wedding dress for Carissa. Her reasoning was that since the wedding was postponed indefinitely, it wasn't. We have a date in October. The dress was just sitting there and could be put to good use. She also said that as sisters, we should share everything, and I was being selfish. I listened to her entire speech without interrupting. When she finished, I simply asked if she had come to apologize. She looked surprised and said she thought I would be the one apologizing to her for overreacting and for turning Carissa against her. At that point, I realized there was no getting through to her. I told her I was disappointed that after all this time, she still couldn't acknowledge that taking my wedding dress without permission was wrong. I also made it clear that I hadn't turned Carissa against her. Jenny had done that all by herself with her behavior. As for Mark's father, his condition has improved significantly with the new treatment. The doctors are cautiously optimistic that he'll be able to attend our wedding in October. Mark and I are thrilled, and we've resumed planning with renewed enthusiasm. Carissa has been a tremendous help with the wedding preparations. She's completed all the corsages and boutonnieres, and we're now working on the centerpieces. She has a real talent for floral design, and I've encouraged her to consider it as a possible career path. She's also paid back more than half of what she owed me for the prom dress, despite my telling her numerous times that she doesn't need to. The rest of my family has had mixed reactions to everything that's happened. My parents support my decision to distance myself from Jenny, but they're still trying to maintain a relationship with her. My brother, who experienced Jenny's inappropriate behavior at his own wedding, is firmly on my side and has limited his contact with her as well. Jenny continues to reach out to Carissa regularly, alternating between guilt trips and apologies. Carissa has set some boundaries with her mother, only taking calls once a week and limiting visits to supervised settings. It's been hard on Carissa, but she recognizes that her mother's behavior is toxic and that she needs to protect herself. As for me, I've decided to keep Jenny out of my life for the foreseeable future. I won't be inviting her to my wedding or any other significant events. I've made peace with this decision, though it wasn't easy. Family is important, but not at the expense of my mental well-being. Mark has been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal. He's welcomed Carissa into our lives without hesitation and has been a source of strength when dealing with the fallout from Jenny's actions. In reflection, the dress incident ended up being a catalyst for some necessary changes in our family dynamics. While it's been painful at times, I believe we're all moving toward healthier relationships. Carissa is flourishing in her newfound independence, and I'm looking forward to celebrating my wedding with the people who truly support and care about me. I want to thank everyone who offered advice and support when I first posted about this situation. Your insights helped me navigate a challenging time with grace and clarity. Sometimes it takes a crisis to reveal the truth about people and relationships, and while that can be difficult to accept, it ultimately leads to growth and healing. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. Husband begged for forgiveness after I caught him cheating, but his one-time mistake was actually an 8-year double life. I, 28F, have been married to my husband Samuel, 30M, for 3 years now. We've known each other since college and have been together for 8 years in total. I always thought we had a great relationship, we rarely fought, shared the same interests, and generally enjoyed each other's company. That was until last month when I found out Samuel had been hiding a huge secret from me. Samuel and I met during our sophomore year of college. We were both in the same study group for our economics class. I remember thinking he was cute, but I was too shy to make a move. It wasn't until our senior year that we finally started dating. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of hiking, cooking, and terrible rom-coms. After graduation, we both got jobs in the same city. Samuel worked for a marketing firm, while I started my career in human resources. We moved in together after a year of dating, and things were great. We had our little routines, Sunday brunches, movie nights on Wednesdays, and weekend hikes when the weather was nice. 2 years ago, Samuel proposed during a surprise weekend getaway to the mountains. It was perfect, just the two of us, surrounded by nature. I said yes without hesitation. Our wedding was small but beautiful, with just our closest friends and family in attendance. Everything seemed perfect. We talked about starting a family soon, maybe buying a house in the suburbs. I really thought I had it all figured out. But I guess life had other plans. It all started when I noticed Samuel acting a bit strange. He was spending more time on his phone, often stepping out of the room to take calls, and seemed distracted whenever we were together. At first, I didn't think much of it. I figured he was just stressed with work or something. But as the days went by, his behavior became more suspicious. One night, while Samuel was in the shower, his phone buzzed with a text message. I know I shouldn't have looked, but something in my gut told me I needed to. The message was from someone named Sarah and it read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe. Miss you already." I quickly put the phone back and tried to act normal when Samuel came out of the shower. The next day, I decided to follow Samuel when he left for work. Instead of going to his office, he drove to a small cafe on the other side of town. That's where I saw him meet up with a woman I'd never seen before. They hugged, kissed, and sat down together, looking very much like a couple. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I wanted to confront them right there, but I was too shocked to move. I just sat in my car, watching them through the window, feeling like my whole world was falling apart. When Samuel came home that evening, I confronted him. At first, he tried to deny everything, but when I told him I'd followed him, he broke down and confessed. Sarah wasn't just some random woman, she was his high school sweetheart. They had reconnected on Facebook about 6 months ago and had been seeing each other since then. I asked Samuel why he did it, why he couldn't just talk to me if he was unhappy. He said he didn't know why he did it, that he still loved me but there was just something about Sarah that he couldn't resist. He begged me for forgiveness, promised to break it off with Sarah, and said he wanted to work on our marriage. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to kick him out right then and there, but another part of me still loved him and wanted to believe we could fix this. In the end, I told Samuel I needed some time to think. I packed a bag and went to stay with my sister for a few days. My sister, LOD, 32F, has always been protective of me. When I told her what happened, she was furious. She wanted me to leave Samuel immediately, saying that once a cheater, always a cheater. But she also understood that it wasn't an easy decision for me to make. While staying with LOD, I did a lot of thinking about my relationship with Samuel. I thought about all the good times we'd had together, our first date at that little Italian restaurant where we both ordered spaghetti and ended up with sauce all over our faces, the time we got lost on a hike and ended up camping under the stars, the way he held my hand through my father's funeral 2 years ago. But I also thought about the signs I might have missed. The times he was working late more often, the weekends he said he had to go into the office, the way he sometimes seemed distant even when we were together. It's been a week now, and I'm still at my sister's place. Samuel has been calling and texting nonstop, begging me to come home so we can talk. My friends are divided. Some say I should give him another chance, others say I should divorce him immediately. My family, especially LOD, think I should leave him. I'm torn. On one hand, we've been together for so long, and up until now, I thought we had a great marriage. Is it worth throwing away 8 years over one mistake? On the other hand, how can I ever trust him again? Every time he's on his phone or working late, will I always be wondering if he's with her? I keep thinking about our plans for the future. We were talking about trying for a baby next year. We had even started looking at houses in the suburbs, dreaming about a backyard for our future kids to play in. Now all of that seems so far away. I've always been the type of person who believes in second chances. When we were in college, Samuel cheated on a big exam and almost got expelled. I stood by him then, helped him appeal to the disciplinary board. He promised he'd never do anything like that again, and as far as I know, he kept that promise. But this feels different, bigger somehow. I'm also worried about what this means for my own self-worth. Am I not good enough? Did I do something wrong? Samuel swears it has nothing to do with me, that he was just weak and made a mistake. But it's hard not to take it personally. Then there's the practical side of things to consider. We have a joint bank account, a shared lease on our apartment, intertwined lives in so many ways. The thought of untangling all of that is overwhelming. I don't know what to do. Should I try to work things out with Samuel? Or should I end our marriage and start over? Has anyone been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? I keep going back and forth. One moment I'm ready to go home and try to work things out, the next I'm looking up divorce lawyers. I know I need to make a decision soon, but it feels impossible. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm grateful for my sister's support and the space to think things through. I just wish I knew what the right answer was. Update 1: It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented and offered advice. Your words really helped me during this difficult time. After a lot of thinking and talking with my sister, I decided to go back home and have a serious conversation with Samuel. I figured I owed it to our marriage to at least hear him out before making any final decisions. When I got home, Samuel looked like he hadn't slept in days. He immediately started apologizing again, saying how sorry he was and how much he regretted what he'd done. He swore he had broken things off with Sarah for good and even showed me the messages where he told her it was over. We talked for hours. Samuel explained that he and Sarah had dated in high school and she was his first love. When they reconnected on Facebook, old feelings resurfaced, and he got caught up in the excitement and nostalgia of it all. He said he never meant for it to go as far as it did, but one thing led to another, and before he knew it, he was in too deep. I asked him why he didn't just tell me about Sarah from the beginning. He said he was afraid I'd be upset or jealous, so he kept it a secret. When things started getting more serious with Sarah, he knew he should end it, but he didn't know how without hurting her or risking me finding out. I told Samuel how hurt and betrayed I felt. How his actions had shaken my trust in him to the core. I asked him how I could ever trust him again. He said he would do whatever it took to regain my trust. He offered to give me full access to his phone and social media accounts, to check in with me regularly when he's not at home, even to quit his job and find a new one if that would make me feel better. After our talk, I felt a little better. Samuel seemed genuinely remorseful and willing to do whatever it took to save our marriage. I told him I wasn't ready to forgive him yet, but I was willing to try to work things out. We agreed to start marriage counseling and to take things day by day. We had our first counseling session a few days later. The counselor, Dr. Anderson, seemed nice enough. She asked us to talk about our relationship history, our communication styles, and what we both wanted for the future. It was uncomfortable at times, but I felt like we were making progress. Things were going okay for about a week. We started counseling, and Samuel was being very attentive and transparent. He would text me throughout the day, letting me know where he was and what he was doing. He even suggested we start doing more activities together, like taking a cooking class or joining a hiking group. But then something happened that threw everything into chaos again. I got a call from Sarah. Apparently, Samuel hadn't been entirely truthful about breaking things off with her. She told me that Samuel had indeed told her it was over, but then a few days later, he reached out to her again, saying he made a mistake and wanted to see her. They had met up just 2 days before I came home. I was furious. I confronted Samuel about this, and he broke down again. He admitted that he had reached out to Sarah one last time, claiming he needed closure. He swore nothing physical happened during that meeting, that they just talked, but he knew it was wrong and that's why he didn't tell me about it. Now I'm back at square one, feeling even more betrayed than before. Samuel is begging for another chance, saying the meeting with Sarah made him realize for sure that he wants to be with me. But I don't know if I can believe anything he says anymore. I'm staying with my sister again. Samuel keeps calling and texting, but I'm not ready to talk to him yet. LOD is furious. She wants me to file for divorce immediately, saying Samuel has proven he can't be trusted. My parents, who initially encouraged me to try to work things out, are now saying maybe LOD is right. I called Dr. Anderson and told her what happened. She suggested Samuel and I come in for an emergency session, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. She did recommend that I start seeing a therapist on my own to help process everything that's happening. I've been thinking a lot about my own role in all of this. Did I somehow contribute to Samuel's decision to cheat? Were there signs I missed? I know logically that his choices are his own, but it's hard not to wonder. I'm also struggling with feelings of embarrassment. We live in a small town, and word travels fast. I'm dreading having to explain to people what's happening if we do end up getting divorced. I've been throwing myself into work as a distraction. My boss has been understanding, giving me some extra projects to focus on. It helps to have something else to think about, even if it's just for a few hours a day. I'm seriously considering divorce at this point. I love Samuel, but I don't know if love is enough anymore. The trust is gone, and I'm not sure if it can ever be rebuilt. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Did you give your partner another chance after repeated lies? How did it turn out? For now, I'm taking some time for myself. I've started going to a yoga class that LOD recommended, trying to find some peace amidst all this chaos. I know I'll have to make a decision soon, but for now, I'm just trying to get through each day as it comes. Update 2: It's been a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. I've spent this time living separately from Samuel, trying to figure out what I want to do. During this time, I've learned some things that have completely changed my perspective on the situation. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. Your advice and support have been invaluable during this difficult time. Many of you suggested I dig deeper into Samuel's story, and I'm glad I took that advice. About 2 weeks ago, I decided to reach out to Sarah myself. I know many of you advised against this, but I felt I needed to hear her side of the story. What she told me was shocking. According to Sarah, her relationship with Samuel wasn't just a recent thing that started 6 months ago. They had been in an on and off relationship for years, even before Samuel and I started dating. She told me that Samuel had always kept her as a backup, reaching out to her whenever things got tough in our relationship. Sarah shared with me text messages and emails dating back to the early days of my relationship with Samuel. There were messages from times when I thought we were exclusively dating, including during major milestones in our relationship like when we moved in together and even around the time of our engagement. I was stunned. This meant that Samuel had been lying to me for our entire relationship, not just the past 6 months. Sarah even showed me old photos of them together, some from trips Samuel had told me were work-related. When I confronted Samuel with this information, he initially tried to deny it. But when I showed him the evidence Sarah had given me, he finally broke down and admitted the truth. He confessed that he had been stringing Sarah along for years, unable to fully commit to either of us. I was devastated. It felt like my entire relationship with Samuel had been built on lies. All those years I thought we were happy together, he had been maintaining a relationship with another woman behind my back. Samuel begged for forgiveness, saying he truly did love me and wanted to make our marriage work. He claimed he had been too cowardly to fully commit to either relationship, always afraid of missing out. He promised he was ready to cut Sarah out of his life for good this time. But I don't think I can get past this. It's not just about the cheating anymore, it's about years of deception and manipulation. I feel like I don't even know who Samuel really is anymore. I've decided to file for divorce. It's not an easy decision, but I feel it's the right one. I can't imagine ever trusting Samuel again, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering if he's being truthful with me. Samuel is devastated and keeps trying to change my mind, but I'm standing firm in my decision. My family and friends have been incredibly supportive, especially LOD, who has been my rock through all of this. I've started the process of separating our lives. I'm looking for a new apartment and have opened my own bank account. It's scary starting over, but also somewhat liberating. I know the road ahead won't be easy, but I feel a sense of relief knowing that I'm making the right choice for myself. Has anyone else been through a divorce after discovering long-term infidelity? Any advice on how to move forward? Update 3: It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have progressed. The divorce is now finalized, and I'm slowly but surely rebuilding my life. The divorce process was difficult, both emotionally and practically. Samuel initially tried to contest it, still insisting that we could work things out. But eventually, he realized I was serious and agreed to an uncontested divorce. We managed to settle things relatively amicably, dividing our assets and going our separate ways. I've moved into a new apartment in a different part of town. It's smaller than the place Samuel and I shared, but it feels like mine. I've been enjoying decorating it and making it feel like home. My sister Elodie has been a huge help, spending weekends with me painting walls and assembling furniture. I also started a new job. After everything that happened, I felt like I needed a fresh start in all aspects of my life. I'm now working for a non-profit organization that helps underprivileged kids get access to education. It's challenging work, but incredibly rewarding. I feel like I'm making a difference, which has been healing in its own way. I've also started dating again, though I'm taking things very slowly. My trust issues are still there, but I'm working on them. I've been seeing a therapist regularly, which has been helping me process everything that happened and work on rebuilding my self-esteem. I've gone on a few casual dates, nothing serious yet. It's been nice to remember that there are good, honest people out there. I'm not ready for a serious relationship, but it's good to know that when I am ready, there's hope for finding someone who will treat me with respect and honesty. As for Samuel, I've heard through mutual friends that he's still single. Apparently, Sarah broke things off with him for good when she found out the full extent of his deception. Last I heard, he was in therapy, trying to work on his issues with commitment and honesty. Looking back, I'm glad I made the decision to leave. It was hard, and there are still days when I miss the life I thought I had. But I know now that it was all built on lies, and I deserve better than that. One unexpected positive that came out of this whole situation is that it brought me closer to my family. LOD and I have always been close, but going through this has strengthened our bond even more. My parents, who live a few hours away, have been visiting more often. We've started having weekly family dinners, which has been really nice. I've also reconnected with some old friends who I had lost touch with during my marriage. It's been great to rebuild those relationships and remember who I was before I became Samuel's wife. There are still difficult days, of course. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about the future I thought I would have with Samuel, the house in the suburbs, the kids we talked about having. It's hard to let go of those dreams. But I'm also excited about the new possibilities that lie ahead. I've started taking some classes at the local community college, just for fun. I'm learning photography, something I've always been interested in but never had time for before. It's been a great way to meet new people and focus on something positive. To anyone going through a similar situation, I want to say, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't be afraid to ask questions and seek the truth, even if it's painful. And remember, you deserve honesty and respect in a relationship. It's also okay to take your time healing. There's no set timeline for getting over something like this. Some days I feel great, like I'm completely over it. Other days, something will remind me of Samuel and I'll feel sad all over again. I'm learning that's normal and part of the process. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. I'm rediscovering who I am as an individual, not just as someone's partner. It's scary sometimes, but also thrilling.